Echo. This room definitely could do with some isolation foam. Hello everyone, it's great to see you all. I'm back. Did you miss me? Of course you didn't miss me, you liars. You were so busy preparing for the end of the world that you didn't even notice I was gone. I don't blame you though, 2020 is quite a mess. I mean, let's think about it. Britain, we had Brexit. Although for some reason the UK and the EU still managed to haggle a good 10 months after the divorce. Then there was Maxit, the Hollywood diva who married the English royal diva and then found England too warm, and so as a result they both moved to the British colony of Canada. And many places of mainland Europe weren't much better off, with most of their countries putting their entire population under house arrest to avoid a total collapse of their public healthcare system. All while trying to hide the fact that they were the ones crippling it to that point in the first place. Their house arrests, of course, somewhat escalated in some places, with food shortages and store raidings, with the gold medal of madness going to Italy, of course, which declared truck drivers a necessary service, allowing food to transit. However, it did not consider the ships delivering said trucks to the island of Sicily a necessity, and thus the people ended up without food. They also came up with the brilliant idea of refusing the publicly funded healthcare to seniors above 65 as soon as the hospitals get too full, and then they were wondering why the casualty rate was so high suddenly. And all of that got of course topped off with France, where some lunatic attempted to return to the old normalcy by reviving their divinely inspired knife traditions. If it wouldn't be 2020, I would think I'm talking about Africa. Anyway, Australia had a very different way of dealing with 2020. First they had wildfires, then lockdowns, and then a curious shortage of not food, but toilet paper, which made me question their culinary preferences a bit. Canada, of course, was not without its controversies either, with Trudeau being the first prime minister to not only have one but three proven ethics violations. Ethics violations, of course, being the Canadian word for corruption and bribery, just in case you weren't aware of it. He also managed, during a temporary power concession to him, in light of the current plague, to ban every possible and especially impossible guns that he could possibly come up with, including a battery-powered airsoft gun and a coffee company. Last but not least, the US, who most definitely couldn't sit still either. They went through an impeachment, then they arrested Weinstein, who then ended up in a very interesting Schrödinger-style cause of death. There were lockdowns, then protests against lockdowns, then protests against the lockdowns, and protests against the police brutality. And at the end of that, people were still genuinely wondering why there are such spikes in plague cases in the US. I mean, 2020 was so out of whack that we completely disregarded and ignored the UFO videos that the US government popped out this year. And because 2020 is not over, neither is the chaos. Now we're dealing with a second wave of lockdowns and everything. And the US, of course, had their elections, which seemed to descend into utter chaos after the ballot count even more than they did before. What a year, my fellow Reptoids, what a year. With all of this madness around us, I would suggest for a change. Let us do something more calm, more mundane, something normal, something sane. Let us sing a song together, perhaps.
You're walking down the street, you see a person in a hat. You think, why would anybody wear a thing like that? It's not a fashion item, it's to control your fears. He's wearing it to hide the fact he has no ears. His tail curled up in his underpants is a bloody disgrace. We're being ruled by giant lizards from outer space.
Beautiful. Although, now that you mention it, why do you wear a hat? Why exactly do you wear a hat inside the house? And with flaps that cover the ears, no less? I'm keeping my eyes on you, lizard boy.
Lockdown, BLM, US elections and the rest. Bombarded by the news when you're putting on your vest. Wondering why the masses are running round like sheep. Still still ringing in your ears when you're trying to go to sleep. Not your fault you threw that Vimto in your mother-in-law's face. You're being ruled by giant lizards from outer space.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. No lizard ever told you to be mean to your mother-in-law. Your arms are your own responsibility, mister. But you know, about this whole sheep masses running about thing business, why are you so vocal about the existence of lizard alien people, but then completely ignore all the sheep alien people? What did Fuzzy ever do to you to be ignored like that?
Look in the House of Commons, they have slitty eyes like goats. You think that you elect them, but they manipulate your votes. I was drinking in the pub, there was a bloke, don't get me wrong. He was licking out his bitter with a long forked tongue. I'm building my own rocket, Uranus, the best place. We're being ruled by giant lizards from outer space.
You know, the part that always gets me about these lizard conspiracies is the mundane-ish sort of actions that they do. If there were hyper-brain manipulating lizards, they would not need to tweak the election because they would get you to vote what they want in the first place. Or they just wouldn't make you vote at all. If the lizard people have to use human-style methodology in order to tweak elections, that only means that they don't really have all that much power, do they? As for your rocket, I wish you of course all the best and a very safe trip. But perhaps I should point out to you that Uranus is probably not a good destination. You see, you're not a fan of lizard people. But unfortunately for you, the lizard people come from Uranus. That was so refreshing. I feel so much more sane already. And now that I finally have a space on my own where I can actually record video in peace, I'm pretty sure I will make more videos more often. Thank you all for so much patience and thank you all for supporting me, especially the people who have contributed. Thank you so much and I hope to see you soon.